Dr. Corsi, thank you for your flexibility in scheduling. We've got a slightly late start today. I've had an extremely busy day. I've been to both Capri v. Maxwell, and then later I was at an NYU event with one of your arch nemeses, Andrew Weissman. How are you, Doctor?
One of my favorites, right?
Exactly.
I'll tell you. Would you say hello to him for me? I mean, I hope you gave my best wishes.
I had a series of
He's
questions planned for him, but I did not really get to ask them. People who have seen the video will know that they basically threw me out.
well, somehow that doesn't surprise me. I'm sure they didn't want to have any questions. NYU, he's now teaching at NYU on something like
Oh,
I don't know, false imprisonment or false charges or something or other. I mean,
how to
Weissman,
do
of
them?
course, is yeah, how to do it. Well, he's a master at that. I mean, he's the guy who Sidney Powell in her book License to Lie fingered as the prosecutorial abuse, master of prosecuting people who really were later all freed out of prison. It was a prosecutorial misconduct. Sidney Powell, there's Sidney Powell who did the book License to Lie. And
Hmm.
Weissman, of course, then moved on over, and he was the henchman for Mueller and was the one after me wanting to put me in prison for this process crime. Of course, I didn't lie, and I refused to take their plea deal. They never indicted me. So they're
Hmm.
trying to get me to suborn, they were trying to suborn perjury, get me to admit to crimes I didn't commit. That's Weissman, and he is, I think, the one who, especially with Mueller looking so horrible at that House Judiciary Committee hearing with Nadler, I think Weissman was running the show from the
Hmm.
background. I'm pretty confident that he was the one who insisted upon the report being written. I mean, a report, they didn't do any crimes for Russian collusion. They didn't bring any indictments for the idea of obstruction of justice, yet they wrote this 500-page report laying out all the evidence that didn't go anywhere, giving the House ammunition on Russian collusion, which even the House couldn't make into an impeachment case. They had to morph into this bogus charge for Ukraine, which we're now seeing walked over to the Senate yesterday in this ceremony, walking across the Rotunda Hall to bring the articles of impeachment to the Senate to start a Senate trial, which has, I guess, officially begun yesterday and today.
Hmm.
And I think it's just another hoax that's going to go nowhere.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we'll discuss that at length.
yeah, I thought it was very good of Missouri Senator Josh Hawley. We spoke last week about how his threat of initiating a motion to dismiss seems to have spurred Nancy Pelosi to transmitting those articles. I think that was the right move for Josh Hawley, and he's definitely somebody to watch in the future. So, what do you think will happen now, Doctor? We're obviously going to go into great detail when we start our sponsor exclusive show on patreon.com/Jerome Corsi, patreon.com/crowdsource the truth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsource the truth at 5:30 today, just after this.
And I think what's going to happen is that we're going to get into the next week. The Senate will hold the initial opening arguments in which the House managers will present their case, and the managers appointed to represent President Trump will present their defense. And then the Senate's got to take, there they are going across the statutory hall. I mean, they look like a bunch of, stooges. I mean, it had a much more impressive picture of them coming across statutory hall in the impeachment of Bill Clinton. Is that your phone or is that my phone ringing? I
It
think
must
that's
be
probably
yours,
my phone
Doctor. Is
ringing.
this
I
Cory
forgot
Booker
to
wearing tennis shoes? That
it
looks
does look
stupid.
like it. No, it's not. It isn't Cory Booker. It's one of the other members of the House, and he is wearing some kind of a
Not
sneaker
good.
there. I'm not sure what it is, but it is a. I mean, this is not a very impressive looking group coming across with articles of impeachment. They somehow or other lack gravitas. I don't know.
Yeah.
Got Nadler there wearing his pants up around his nipples, and Schiff. I mean, this is quite a crew here. coming across with the articles of impeachment.
Where's Nancy?
That's with she doesn't come across. These are the ones who are appointed the managers. She signs it off. They're coming over with the I guess the kind of like a sergeant at arms, the one who's in charge of the proceedings in the House and Senate. And then I guess one of the clerks is actually carrying them across. I'm not sure who she is. No, I guess she's probably one of the. There's 9, so she's one of the House of Representatives who is doing the, managing it for the House, and she is the one who is carrying it across. It's the one in the blue tie right next to her is the sergeant at arms, and then the rest of them are all Schiff and Nadler, who are the 2 primary managers. Schiff looks terrible. It looks like he's, he looks horrible. I mean, it's like he sold his soul to the devil, and the devil's come calling.
Yeah, well, I think that actually happened.
It could be. I mean, this guy. I hope he makes it through the hearing before he keels over. Look at the guy. At any rate, look, they have nothing. I think the second article of impeachment, which is abuse of Congress, because President Trump went to the courts to find out if he could have executive privilege to exert to prevent various of his executive office personnel from testifying. John Bolton, his chief of staff, several different people, which is normal. There's nothing wrong with that. He's not trying to obstruct an investigation because he wants to know if he has a executive privilege that he can exert. And so, then you get the first article, which is abuse of power. Well, I mean, again, that's not a crime, and it's been charged of everybody since George Washington abusing power. And when you heard yesterday the press conferences, you heard Schiff and Nadler and Pelosi, especially Schiff, was acting as if they had proven Russian collusion, as if they had proven that there was this quid pro quo, all the things that the House Democrats failed to prove in the House Intelligence hearings and the House Judiciary hearings. They were suddenly asserting as if they were all true, and as if their articles of impeachment carried this gravitas. And then we find, they're also then trying to, here they come across, if you could find the group of them coming across in 1998, I believe it was, when they brought the impeachment across from Clinton, there are photographs of them marching across, which were much more impressive. I remember seeing them. I saw them today. I was in New York City and saw it on the New York Times, which, by the way, today is a miniature newspaper compared to the way it was printed in 1999. And the pictures in 1999 were much more impressive. You'll have to do the walk across on the Statutory Hall if you're searching in Google, walking across Statutory Hall, and the impeachment, and then the Clinton impeachment 19. Just leave it like that, and you'll find. Hopefully, they have some of the pictures there.
We're overwhelmed by the new pictures. That's the way Google likes to do it. Oh, you know what?
Yeah, they
Let me
won't
set
let
the
you.
date range.
That could work. I mean, maybe you'll be able to get it. But the point I'm making is that this is a hoax. The Russian collusion did not get anywhere. And I want to get into some of the new information we found out about the FISA court and how, in fact, the entire Russian collusion was a coup d'etat. That's my next book. And I know you're finding only the pictures. There's Len Parvas and Giuliani.
Yeah,
the
there's
House
been a
would
lot
like
of talk
to try
about him.
Giuliani. Well, he's got these handwritten notes and these other phone calls. And, of course, he's been indicted for campaign finance violations. He'd say anything to save his hide. And how do you introduce handwritten notes on a Ritz-Carlton telephone pad that he had from Austria? And he writes on it, tells Zelensky that there's, we got to have these hearings on Biden. Well, I mean, those are his handwritten notes that could have been done at any time. And who knows that he didn't recently make them up or was writing something down in order to incriminate Trump or whatever, but the whole thing was ridiculous. This is supposedly the new evidence. Yeah, that's the, get Zablinski to announce that the Biden case will be investigated with an asterisk and all this.
It's almost ridiculous,
That's the new
Doctor.
evidence. It's a joke.
Well, you've
And
just
then they
raised a
got
very
the
important point because you're telling us, I wasn't aware of that. So Lev Parnas has been indicted for
yes
election campaign finance fraud. So that's basically the
violations, right?
same sort of box they tried to get you in. They want to get him so that he's looking to do some kind of plea deal and then they can negotiate with him. Well, go scratch some stuff on a Ritz-Carlton pad. And Doctor, I'm sure you're aware, John Brennan, the former CIA director, the amazing investigator that he is, said that Trump had written this note and then retracted
Which
that.
is absolutely ridiculous because it's a Ritz-Carlton. If you could see the bottom of it, it's in Austria. That's the pad from an Austrian Ritz-Carlton in Vienna. And the idea that this is a proof of anything, right there at the very, very bottom, if you can enlarge that, see
Oh,
it
yeah.
says Austria right there, Österreich.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the address for the Ritz-Carlton in, I believe, in Vienna. And this is okay. So all these notes, these are not evidence. These are, he's got Rudy at the bottom, and he's all the things you would want him to write if he were trying to produce or fabricate evidence that would be incriminating to Giuliani. And this guy, he's not gotten any plea deal. He's just trying to ingratiate himself to the prosecutors. The Ukrainians have this habit. Poroshenko, who was the president up until May 2019, when Zelensky beat him in the election, Poroshenko was the neo-Nazi, really truly a neo-Nazi, who was supported by Soros, and he was in the 2014 Maidan uprising. Maidan is a square in Kiev. He was They ousted Yanukovych, who was the one Manafort was supporting, the president. He went back to Russia, or he went to Russia, and then Poroshenko comes in. Well, when Trump got elected in 2016 and 2017 inaugurated, Poroshenko suddenly tries to kiss up to Trump and doesn't want to lose his aid. For 2 years, Trump paid the aid. Okay, it was just when Zelensky came in, he wanted to know. See, there's Poroshenko coming to big meetings with Trump, Poroshenko was the president who allowed this information about Manafort supposedly getting these black ledger off the book cash payments from Yanukovych, the previous president, which were all fabricated and all false. The two things you got to know about these criminals, and they're all criminals in Ukraine, is number one, whichever way the wind blows, that's the way they'll go. So if it's Trump, they're all for Trump. If it's Hillary and Hillary looks like she's going to win, they'll get dirt for Hillary to defeat Trump on Manafort. They did that. Poroshenko was put in by Soros. He deposed in a coup d'etat Yanukovych. Okay, so here's Parvas. Well, Parvas now cozies up to Giuliani and gives Giuliani all the information Giuliani wants about all these prosecutors really wanted to go after Burisma, but they were blocked. Well, it's so complicated in Ukraine because the truth is they'll tell you what you want to hear if you're in power and paying them. So all the testimony coming out of Ukraine has to be discounted, and they are magnificent at fraudulent documents. They'll produce for you some of the best fake documents in the world. So all these documents we've been seeing, all the documents that have been coming forward, they are just fraudulent documents, and they have the two bases of they think there's new evidence is Parvas deal, and they also got a statement out of the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, saying the Office of MLB was illegally not allowing the funds to go to Ukraine because Trump was violating the rule of Congress that had authorized those funds. Well, that's a complicated legal argument, and you've got two bureaus with fighting amongst each other, And the House wants to use this recent GAO report as if it were gospel. Well, it's just another legal opinion by one of the bureaucracy. So that doesn't prove that Trump committed a crime when he didn't allow the aid to go forward. And Trump did allow the aid to go forward. He delayed it while he was looking to see if it was going to be used in a corrupt way. And there's excellent evidence that about $3 billion of our aid got stolen in Ukraine. Is Trump just supposed to send more there because Congress voted it, or doesn't he have a responsibility under this treaty we have with Ukraine, this mutual legal assistance treaty, to make sure that the laws are followed and we're not involved in sending more aid to Ukraine that's just going to get stolen?
Dr. Corsi, look at this. I've located evidence that Rachel Maddow is colluding with Russians.
Yeah. Well, that's actually, she's with Parnov there. And that's the whole, when she had Parnov on her show, that's the whole setup for that show.
Yeah.
And so Rachel Maddow brought in Parnov, and they said, oh, now we've got Giuliani because we've got these handwritten notes from Austria that proves there was a quid pro quo. I mean, first of all, the House is supposed to develop the evidentiary basis for the impeachment. Okay. And the hearings in the Senate are not supposed to be the evidentiary trial which develops the articles of impeachment. Yes, the Senate can call witnesses and they can examine issues, but to develop new evidence in the Senate hearings is not the way the procedure is supposed to work. The House brings the indictment and the Senate conducts the trial. What the Democrats want is, since they failed to produce evidence of any crime in the House, they want to have hearings on new evidence in the Senate that now produces evidence of a crime, and they appear to be willing to manufacture evidence to
That's just it.
Get the and there's no limit to what these deep state operatives in the House will do in order to get Trump. It's all about getting Trump.
To
and I think
expand
to
a
the
bit,
American
Doctor,
people,
on what you're saying, sorry, I think what they're doing is not just manufacturing evidence. This is obviously, hearsay evidence. As you said, it's unauthenticated. This document could have been created at any time. It's evidence in the court of public opinion, and that is what the Democrats are trying to do. They put this on MSNBC, they put this nonsense in the Washington Post, and people immediately, without a trial, without due process, they think that Trump has done something. We've got a great comment here from Clearly Clever saying that below that it says, don't forget to get milk and bread. So perhaps this is Parnas's shopping list. But Dr. Corsi, we're going to go into great detail on all of this when we begin our show. In just about 10 minutes, the sponsor exclusive show will be starting on patreon.com/Jerome Corsi, patreon.com/crowdsource the truth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsource the truth. We've got to get you onto Subscribestar, Doctor. A lot of people have been telling me they've been having a better technical experience now that we're doing our broadcasts in full HD at twice the bit rate. This has become one of the highest quality live stream broadcasts on YouTube.
Well, in fact, we just went on Subscribestar this week.
Great.
So we do have a channel now on Subscribestar. It's Corsi channel. Excellent. And we'll have to get that built in so you can broadcast on it as well.
Yes.
But I think we're going to see. I think we're going to start seeing. I'm changing CorsiNation.com. We're getting putting it onto a new platform. We are going to have it much more sophisticated in terms of how it works technically. And there'll be a new version of CorsiNation.com out within about 30 days. We're working on it right now, and we should have it done. The transfer to a dedicated server is going on right now. It won't be on a shared server any longer, and we're cleaning up the back end of it so it will work much more efficiently on Google. And I think you're going to see some big changes in Corsi Nation over the next little bit of time.
That's great. It seems like 2020, everybody is really focusing their efforts. I think that from 2016 to now, independent media has sort of taken on new importance, and now everyone is focusing the efforts in the technology. So that's great. People who want to use Subscribestar to connect with Dr. Corsi can go on there. And it looks like Jerome_Corsi will get you right to the doctor. And now that I'm aware of that, each week we'll be sure that the sponsor exclusive broadcasts are available there as well. Doctor, we're just about out of time for this preview, so I'll see you in 10 minutes on patreon.com/Jerome Corsi, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Looking forward to the in-depth conversation.
I'm looking forward to it very much, and I think it's very timely because we're right at the beginning of this Senate trial, and we can preview both where it's likely to go and also review how it got here. And I want to go through the FISA abuses and some of the new things we've just found out about the FISA abuses, which I think are very, very damaging to the Democrats.
Absolutely. We'll have a little bit of an opportunity perhaps to talk about my brief conversation with some of the most notorious FISA abusers just earlier today. So we'll see everybody over there.
Thanks so much for watching,
everybody.
Look forward to it.
Yes. See you there.